So I've been getting a question asked to me a lot over and over and over. What is the difference between challenging and heroic rewards? Is there a big difference? Do you really see it? Now, I usually play my world on heroic and I do most of my missions on heroic. Unless I'm playing with some friends and they don't really want to play on heroic, then we might play challenging, but I never play anything less than the two. Now, I can tell you that sometimes it feels like the roles that I get on heroic missions aren't that good. Like, I feel like sometimes I don't really get the good loot, but then other times I feel that, wow, it is really worth the grind to do heroics. Now, I was doing Lincoln Memorial. And I was farming for the contractor gloves. If you guys don't know about those gloves are the best gloves in the game for DPS builds, in my opinion. Probably one of the best gloves in the games that gives you the damage to armor. And there's no other piece, gear piece that does the damage to armor. And you know, with these enemies being really tanky, the damage to armor works really good. And I run that on my rifle builds, my AR builds, any DPS build, I put the contractor gloves on there. Because that extra, it's 11% damage to armor, works really good. But this video right here, we're not even talking about those gloves, because this was Petrov, and I was farming Lincoln Memorial, and you won't believe what happened. I think I did about, I want to say it was like 15 to 20 runs, maybe closer to 15, and I got three exotic drops. Yes, 3 exotic drops in about 15 runs. And this is probably one of the faster missions to do on heroic. This one takes, I want to say this one takes maybe about 13 minutes. About 13 minutes if you're going through it pretty quick. And that's not even like speed running through it. Just pretty decent, pretty quick. About 13 minutes. So 13 minutes, about 15 runs, and I got the exotic chest piece. I got 3 drops, and they were all really good rolls. You can see this one right here was 170,000 armor, almost maxed out. The explosive resistance was at 7.9%, and then we have 4,100 armor regeneration. So some pretty good rolls right there. But I thought it was just once. I was like, well, maybe I just got kind of lucky. And then I kept farming this one. I kept farming it because obviously I was looking for those gloves, because Petrov's was the loot farm that I was looking for. So I was looking for the name gloves. I was trying to get those name gloves, and that's what I really wanted, because the gloves that I had, I think the damage on them was, I think the weapon damage on them was only like 7%. So I really wanted to get some better gloves. And to my surprise, these chest pieces just started dropping out the sky. I don't know if they were just being handed to me, but they were literally dropping every time I would kill this final boss right here. So I've noticed this final boss is the one that tends to drop it. But remember, there are 4 different bosses in Lincoln Memorial, and that's what's really cool about it. In Lincoln Memorial, you have a chance, because every single boss always has a small chance of dropping an exotic. But some bosses, I believe, have a little bit higher chance. And with having 4 bosses, you can get a named item, you can get an exotic. It's just, the possibilities are endless, and you have a chance of getting those exotics. And I was just really excited when these exotics started to drop for me. But when I tell you, not even that, I want to say it was probably about 15 named items, and they were all really good named items. Heroic usually drops a couple really good God rolled stat pieces, so I always get that. And I feel that some of the missions, yes, 100% they're worth the grind. They're pretty easy to knock out on heroic if you can do them. But the difference between challenging and heroic on some missions, I don't know, it's 50-50. I've seen people, I have friends that only farm challenging, and they get some really good God rolls. So I would tell you, play the difficulty that you can play. If you could play heroic and you could do it at a comfortable rate, farm heroics. If heroics are just too hard for you and you feel that challenging is where you think you're more comfortable, and you don't mind dying and then just respawning at that checkpoint, that's perfect. Because remember, on heroics, if you do die, the bad thing about it is if you do die and you're not at the boss fight, you will go all the way back to the beginning. But once you get to the boss fight, you will always only have to fight that boss. Look at the second chest piece I got. Almost a God roll armor regeneration alongside the armor roll, right? But if I do want a better roll, I'm going to have to refarm another exotic. There are 4 bosses that you can get loot drops from here that have a chance of dropping those named items and those exotics. So I think personally, if I was going to farm heroics and I see Lincoln Memorial has something that I'm looking for, whether it's a mask, whether it's a brand set, whether it's gloves, I will be farming Lincoln Memorial with the chance of having 4 different bosses. This mission is really fast. It's not hard to complete, whether you're doing it on challenging or heroic. If you can do it on heroic, I recommend doing it on heroic. 4 bosses, 4 heroic drops, and hopefully you get some named items, some exotics, and with having that chance, there's no better mission, I think. Personally, I think it's probably one of the easiest and fastest missions to farm with lots of bosses there, right? 4 bosses, hopefully you get some really good drops. Now, remember, True Sons tend to drop a lot of the exotic chest pieces, so most of the time, you'll see a lot of those drops. But I have heard of people getting the Chameleon, getting the Nemesis, other drops dropping during this area right here. But you guys just saw there were 2 exotic chest pieces. This is my 3rd. I want to say this was probably like the 15th run, and the rolls on this one weren't too bad either. Another really good armor regeneration. The other one was a little bit better, and then of course all of them came with that maxed armor. If you don't know, Lincoln Memorial is in the southwestmost corner of DC, and you'll see Lincoln Memorial right here. Something else you might not know, there are also key boxes in there too, so you can open up those key boxes while you guys are farming this mission. Now, you can always put on directives. I always run it on heroic because heroic, this mission isn't hard at all with those 4 bosses and getting 3,666 XP. It's a pretty good win-win for me. So at the end of the day, I think that challenging and heroics are almost the same, with heroics edging them out a little bit right now from what I've seen. I need to play a little bit more challenging missions to get a little bit of better sample size, but from what I've seen from heroics and what I've seen from some of the builds that my friends have ran, they don't run any heroics missions. They only run challenging missions, and some of the god rolls they have gotten, I can see that you can still get those really good rolls on challenging. And that's just something for you guys to keep in mind. Play what you guys feel you're more comfortable with. If you can do challenging only, well, don't worry about it. If you can do heroics, then do heroics. That's where I've gotten all my drops. Every single gear piece that I have, every single exotic has came from a heroic mission. But some of my friends only play challenging, and they have some better rolls than me. And that just tells you that RNG still plays a factor. So play what you guys can. Before we end the video, I just want to say thank you guys again for supporting this channel over the last 2 months. It's been a crazy ride. I appreciate you guys. We hit 155,000 subscribers. So yes, 155,000 subscribers. Pretty cool, pretty exciting to see what the channel has for the future. Hopefully you guys are here for the long term, and I'll see you guys in more of the videos. We'll wrap it up here. I'll see you in the next one. Nothing But Skills is out.